The way that Theophany falls this year, with the feast itself on Saturday, the 6th, means that we celebrate longer than usual, because the synaxis of the forerunner, the feast of John the Baptist on the 7th, is still part of the celebration of the feast. So today is the Sunday after Theophany, even though technically last Sunday is the first Sunday, because it's still part of the feast. We extend our celebration even to this point now. And as I thought, how shall we preach? How should we speak about this feast day? It came to my mind that it would not be ill to speak about the different kinds of sermons. Because sometimes the priest comes out with the intent to give information, to explain a feast, to explain the meaning or the significance of a symbol or an action that is not quite immediately comprehensible. Sometimes the priest comes out to tell a story, which is a kind of information. Sometimes the priest comes out to scold, to say, you're not doing well, you should change. Sometimes he comes out to exhort, saying not, you're doing badly, but rather, we are called to higher things, let us pursue these instead. You're familiar with all of these kinds of sermons. On a great feast, there is a sermon that is often given, which is celebratory, which is jubilant, which expresses rhetorical awe in the face of the wonders that are revealed to us. You all know these types of sermons, even if you and I can't quite give them the technical names that rhetoricians might give to them. We're familiar with these things. The priest is used to talking. The people are used to listening. And if I may say, there is a danger that we all fall into as well. Because the priest may become accustomed to just running his mouth for 5, 10, 15 minutes, saying things that are significant, that are important, but without any expectation that it might exhort or require change. The voice in which we speak, the style, can become something to separate the priest from taking seriously the responsibility of preaching. And equally so, the styles of preaching may become an excuse for the people to not attend, to just say, oh, he's going on again. Now he's going to pause. Now he's going to speak loudly. Now he'll speak softly. He'll stop. He'll start. He'll go slowly. He'll go quickly. He's doing his sermon thing. And we're doing our sitting in the pews, listening thing. We can become too comfortable in the church. So I thought, if we're going to consider great feasts and regular days and the place of the sermon, it is good that we reflect on the essential point of every word that is spoken in the church, whether in the hymns or the prayers or indeed in the sermon. And the point is expressed in the wisdom for the church fathers. If I may read, St. Theophan says, as soon as you turn away, however slightly, from God, and no longer place your trust in Him, things begin to go wrong. For then the Lord withdraws, as though saying, you have put your trust in something else. Very well, rely on that instead. And whatever it may be, proves utterly worthless. This is the reality of our life in this world. We are created as children of God. We are created to abide in Him, to find peace and grace and love in Him. But the world is full of fakes, of alternatives, of substitutes. And we run after them. Sometimes we are required to run after them because we need food, we need clothing, we need shelter, or else we die. But how easily we become distracted, how easily we become burdened and weighed down by these realities of life. And we come into the church to seek a harmony between the realities of our lives and the far greater infinite reality of the Lord. And when the priest speaks, or when the chanter or the choir sing, or the readers read, we experience a crisis, a judgment. We experience the conflict between our lives as they are and our life in Christ to which we are called. And if we are on either side too comfortable with this crisis, then we lose the benefit of coming to the church. It just becomes another rote, weekly activity. So what I ask of all of you, whether I am the one speaking, or the chanter, or the reader, whether there is silence, whether there is song, whether there is speech, remember this fundamental point. Our lives are full of wannabes, of cheap substitutes for the grace and love which alone can sustain us. When we come to the church, we should experience crisis, tension, conflict between what and who we are and what and who Christ calls us to be. And week by week, as we live in the tension of this relationship between what we are and what we are becoming, we grow, we learn, we find the strength, indeed we find the weakness to depend on Christ and to lay aside the substitutes that we find in the world, to grow in the image and likeness of the Lord. This is the point. This is my responsibility every time I dare to open my mouth and speak about the things of God. This is our responsibility every time we dare to enter into the house of the Lord. As we say in the hymn of the cherubim, we are called to lay aside all earthly cares so that we may receive the King of all. Therefore, let us stand and do so. Amen.